Hello, Art131 here today, and we are continuing on with week 4. And that means assignment 8 and the homework. I'll talk about both right now. I want to remind you that next week is the midterm presentation, which is a 5-minute PowerPoint or Google Slides or a video or something like that, where you can have slides, either talk to me or actually just provide text and images of what you're talking about. The presentation can be about an artist, a particular artist, new or old, famous or not, and or a art movement, art style, some art technique, or something in art history. So this could be just basically anything in art, not what we're doing in this class necessarily with painting and drawing, but it could be anything. Opens the door to a lot of things. You know, tattoo, costume design, cake making, makeup, performance art, ceramics, woodwork, metalwork, glasswork, stained glass, all kinds of different things, not just painting and drawing. So this is a presentation on either an artist, art movement, art style, technique, or something in art history. 5 minutes long, include at least 5 images that are describing or showing example to what you're talking about, either an artist's work or the style or whatever it is that you're talking about. I want to see 5 images. I want to see text talking about the whatever subject it is, describing in pretty much detail within 5 minutes. Be concise. What you're describing and talking about and laying out, why you're talking about it, and also, or why you like it, what influenced you with it. But the main thing is that you do your own artwork on it, one piece, either drawing, painting, or otherwise. If it's something that you do outside of this class that is artistic and you have examples, then show that in your video or your PowerPoint. I want to see that as well, okay? And then time yourself. How long does it take to read this and look at it? Or how long is your video, okay? 5 minutes. All right, so let's talk about assignment number 8, map shapes and shadows. Mapping is not like making a map. It is putting shapes and figures together, kind of like the upside down drawing in a way, but now we're going to shade, where you're not going to draw it upside down. That's not the idea, but mapping shapes together and making them all fit is what we're talking about. I'm going to show you some examples of map shapes, and what we're going to do, we're going to focus in on one kind of drawing, a coat over a chair, okay? So I went to Bing and put coat over chair drawings. Here they are. I want to see all the contrast, light and darks. You should have many levels of tone in here. This one doesn't have quite as many, but it's a very strong drawing nonetheless. Some are better than others. I thought I had a couple of examples here. Let me see if I can go find them again. That one. Okay, those are really good ones, actually. That's a good one. I think a student drew that. But you see the light source coming from the top right, all the stuff on the left, a little darker, even the chair legs slightly, cast shadow on the ground on the left, right side is where the light is coming. All the coat, or garment, doesn't have to be a coat, could be a small blanket or a hoodie, something like that, something big enough to drape over, but not so big it covers the chair. I want to see the chair too, and I want to see the garment. But there's lights and darks in here where it dips and folds and has crevices. That's all the dark areas. They're not catching the light. And then some of them that are pooching out and are catching light are very light. So there's back and forthing going on here with all kinds of light source and light and dark contrast in tones. But as you can see, there's really no lines in that. There's some lines on this chair right here carved in. Okay, I'll accept that. But mostly, there are no lines in these drawings. It's only shading that meets up with other shading or ends, and that's where it makes the edge, or where one thing meets and begins another. It isn't lines that determine that, like border lines. So you don't really need border lines. Border lines are really not all that accurate unless they're actually drawn on the item you're looking at, which is very rare that you have border lines around everything that you're drawing. There's not a lot of examples here. That's why I showed you those examples. This is okay, but it's kind of a boring chair in my opinion. It's okay though. Not really showing a lot of the contours in the jacket. It's mostly the chair. I'd rather see more coat than chair. Just because I think that's what we're focusing on. The chair is kind of secondary, but I want that shaded in too. All right, that one's not coming up. But anyway, these were good. If you have a wood chair, it's better because it has all those sections in between and all the nuance. But whatever chair, that's fine too. Okay, let's look at the homework, which is drawing your eyes. Now you have two eyes, right? So don't send me a drawing of an eye. You want eyes. It says eyes. So draw your eyes in a mirror is even better than not. If you have to take a photo of your eyes, then do that. What I want you to notice is most eyes are covered up by primarily the top eyelid. They're slightly covered by that top eyelid, unless you're really excited eyes, like popping out of your head eyes, which isn't all that accurate. But if you notice the iris, which is the colored part, and the pupil, the dark part, the dark black part in the middle, those can be not the pupil as much, but the iris is slightly covered up by the top lid. The bottom lid may touch or slightly cover, but not as much as the top lid. Okay, this is more excited look there and cartoon. I want them to look not anime, right? You're not going to make big old eyes. That's not accurate. Another thing I want you to notice, other than the eyelid covering part of the iris on the top, and usually the iris just sort of meets the bottom or is slightly covered, but not that much, is I want you to notice the reflection mark. This little white dot, or there are various shapes because of the light source you have. It could be a lamp or a window or something like that, or the sun, or if you're outside, it could be a horizon line like this. It's basically a reflection from your light source on the eye. Now, if you put that in, it's going to look glassy, it's going to look round, and that's what you want. You want glassy, round-looking eyes. Also, another thing is that most of the time, in a lot of these drawings, if not all of them, the white is not completely white. It's got parts that are shaded from shadow and where the eye turns in, going into the corner of the eye, like these. Well, like a lot of these are. It's taking a long time to upload these stuff. But it's slightly shaded, and then it gets a little lighter and brighter, and then maybe white here. But the sides, the corners, are shaded. And so if you put that shading in, it looks now even more round because you're shading it like a ball. Okay, so shade the white part accordingly. Look at these examples, look at your eyes, and you'll notice those things. Another thing is students make the mistake of making the iris all one shade when it more than not isn't. Even if you have dark eyes, if you look in the light, they have some difference in the muscle structure in there is colored slightly different within the tone of your eye. So working with graphite, you're going to see different ways of doing that. But look at your eyes, study them, and put that in. Put that into your drawing, okay? So reflection mark, white of the eyes are not all completely white. There's shading in the corners, reflection, color in the iris, covering part of the iris with the top lid. Maybe the bottom actually just meets there or covers slightly. You look and tell me how it goes when you're drawing. Your own eyes, okay? In a mirror is the best way. Like set up a little mirror if you have one. And keep looking at it, then draw, look back, draw. It's a good way to do it. If you can't do it that way, then take a photo. All right, I want two eyes, right? Now I want to mention that the bridge of the nose has no lines on it. It's shading. There's shading there, light and dark. A little darker here, light. Brow is a little darker. This is a little darker here, light, darker. That's where the nose kind of curves over. It's a rounded edge there. There's no lines. There's no sharp line. Even this, it might be perceived, oh, there's a line there. No, that's a shading that ends right there because this is a 3/4 view and you're looking over the bridge of the nose to the other eye. You could do it that way. Either straight on or tilted is okay. But make it a shaded area that meets up another shaded. Don't put just a line there. Like these have no line. Then you got your eyebrows, right? Work that out as you will, whatever they look like. Draw them in. Some are how you can see the hairs very well, some not so much. But draw those in. Okay? And typically everybody has eyelashes, and bigger or smaller, but look for those. Look how much there are. This is kind of void of eyelashes, which is kind of creepy. It doesn't look good. Maybe you plucked them all out or something. I don't know. But I think this looks a little odd because it doesn't have any. All right, so look for everything in your eyes and put that in your drawing. Work on your midterm presentations because those are going to be due next week. I mean, at least by the end of the week, okay? And we'll talk about it next week. But start thinking about what you want to do. And if you have any questions about any of this, including that presentation, then please ask. And ask as soon as possible. All right.